So don't forget, we are working in line with the sustainable finance landscape in Africa, the sustainable finance landscape in Africa. And we are working with the documents from the Stockholm Sustainable Finance Center. And we are focusing on the case of green bonds, and special reference is made to George Mabua for the publication that was done in July 2020. And I will also provide a link below for the document so that you can easily access it. In the previous talk I gave, I had told us what green bond is. My name is Comfort Asokoro Ogaji. As usual, you know who I am. So, but we'll just dive in straight. I had given us different definitions of the green bond. I will just do a quick recap on that, and then we dive into a little bit of history about the green bond and some other details about sustainable finance. So a green bond is a fixed income instrument designed specifically to support specific climate-related or environmental projects. It works just like any other corporate or government bond where borrowers issue these securities in order to secure financing for projects that will have a positive environmental impact, such as ecosystem restoration or the reduction of pollution in one way or the other. So investors who purchase these bonds can expect to make, as the bond matures, get or gain some tax benefits for investing in green bonds. You can check the part 1 of this presentation so that you can see the different definitions and different institutional perspective about the green bond. But interestingly, and of course, as expected, the IFC issued the first green bond in its green bond program in 2010. That's about 12 years ago, when it raised US $200 million to finance renewable energy and energy efficiency programs, or let's say projects. So between about 9 years, between 2010 and 2019, the IFC issued green bonds worth almost $10 billion in 148 deals under its program. In the middle of it, that's around 2014, investor demand for more robust reporting actually had to led the IFC to begin reporting on the use of proceeds from its green bonds, consistent with a harmonized framework for impact reporting. You need to check the document, Harmonized Framework for Impact Reporting, to be very nice for all of the Richflood staff to study this document. 2019, IFC 2019, I would provide a link also so that you study the document and see how the reports or the requirements for impact reporting was stated there. And this can be used as part of our standard procedure, just in case you can study it and then see how we can borrow 1 or 2 ideas from it and then make use of it properly. So between that 2014 and 2019, that's the middle, you know, I said the first was issued in 2010, right? So midway 2014, 133 green bonds were already issued in 18 currencies, covering about 200 projects and corresponding to a total commitments of, let's say, approximately $7 billion. So The evolution of the IFC Green Bond commitments by region. There is a document also that I will share with you in a link so that you can study it and see the pattern of commitments and how disbursements were made, here and there. And I think it will be a very good material also for you to study. Okay, so we go over to some few African countries that have given or that have laid a very good example when it comes to green bonds. Okay, as you know, the Africa contributes around 4% of global CO2 emissions only, but it is among the most vulnerable at the receiving end to the negative impacts of climate change. So since we are most vulnerable, that means we are concerned, to see also how these emissions can go down, which is evident in so many programs, projects, and agreements that has been signed, and net zero initiatives that is being launched by different African countries to also align themselves with the global challenge and also the global efforts to come about with solutions. Empirical studies have identified a number of channels through which climate change will negatively affect Africa. And most of it is in agriculture, healthcare, conflicts, like you can see in Nigeria, the Fulani conflicts, for instance, Fulani herdsmen conflict, and also in water supply. These impacts are likely to be even severe because many African states lack or have low levels of adaptation capacity due in part to low levels of investment as well. So, but I will mention about 3 countries, and we will just do a review of how the African case and maybe its stakeholders have done in the green finance sector, starting from Nigeria. I would like to start from Nigeria. So basically, we would look at 6 states. Developments in 6 states were examined in the study, the document I just shared, and the role of multilateral development institutions in the green bonds market in Africa was also assessed. So the international institutions discussed their discussions and their participations, important players in recent green investments on the continent, and have been major development partners for many decades to the IFC and all of the great partners on this course. So if we take the country per country basis, we will first take South Africa, then we will take Morocco, then we will take Nigeria and Kenya, and then Namibia. We will look at these 4 countries and provide a summary of how well it's been doing. For South Africa, it has the most developed financial market and green bond in Africa. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange was the first in Africa to launch a dedicated segment for green bonds with accompanying green listing rules to promote green bond issues over the short, medium, most especially medium to long term in the country and also in the sub-regions. Morocco is one of the key players leading the emergence of sustainable finance in Africa through capital market development for the issuance of green debt such as green bonds and other green instruments for sustainable development. But domestically, Morocco's drive towards a greener economy is embedded in its national sustainable development strategy. I would like you all to grab the Morocco's national sustainable development strategy and read up and see what it's got there. You know, it has an ambitious renewable energy strategy embedded in it. The target is to generate 42% of its energy needs from renewable sources. And I think by the year 2030, they would have achieved a 50%. Evidence of its commitment to leading the growth of the green finance market on the continent was provided when the conference, this 22nd conference of the parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that's COP22, was held when it was held in 2026. So with the support of IFC, the Moroccan Capital Markets Authority has led on the development and introduction of guidelines, which are in fact consistent with green bond issuing principles, so as to guide and promote the green bond segment of Morocco's capital market. For the sake of Nigeria, Nigeria actually overtook South Africa as the largest economy in Africa in about 2014. Though recently I saw a study that was undertaken by the BRB, and Nigeria had lost this positioning in one of the best sectors to be considered by investors. But nonetheless, Nigeria is an oil and resource-rich state with a very high population, over 200 million. And Nigeria has shown a consistent commitment to developing a sustainable finance capacity in its different initiatives that it has launched, within the country in order to tackle this. So according to its debt management office, and as part of the NDCs under the Paris Agreement, Nigeria has committed to reducing its carbon emission unconditionally at about 45% with international support by 2030 through energy, transports, projects that will reduce carbon emissions and, of course, mitigate the effects of climate change. So this is quite a good one as a 2014 for Nigeria. I wouldn't know the status now, but Nigeria just launched its net zero targets. I also advise that you take a look at that and let us discuss what is in that document for the net zero targets for Nigeria. So let me also summarize about Kenya, which is, I think Kenya, according to the study, is a major destination for investment in renewable energy and is leading the development of green bonds market in the East Africa region. So it has its own 3-year green bond capacity building program, which was launched in 2017, called Green Bonds Program Kenya. You will need to grab that as well. There's a lot of reading to do. You need to grab the Green Bonds Program Kenya and study it. Majorly the stakeholders, Kenya's CBN, CBK, that's the Central Bank of Kenya, and also the Treasury Office and the Capital Markets Authority. The results from their programs were an important lever of the first and is first and thus far the only green bond issue in East Africa, which took place recently in 2019. So you need to study those documents and let's see what is got, and let's have somebody make the presentation. Also Namibia, you can read up on Namibia and provide information that can be useful for our learning, you know, as we go on. So we would also need to study more about multilateral development banks and how they're facilitating the green finance market in Africa. African Development Bank, for instance, we will need to see what role they are playing in mobilizing capital to support sustainable and inclusive green growth in Africa. So I'll take a few questions, take a pause, and then we can now get back later on and discuss more. Thank you.